Hey man, this year I've been noticing a pattern of defensive fighters, superior boxers, guys who may not pack a big punch, but guys that can bank rounds, outpoint their opponents. Seems like they are not really getting the, in many cases, the fair decisions. I think that a lot of things are changing in the sport of boxing. Defensive fighters, fighters that come in the ring and are defensive minded first, they are being labeled as boring fighters and not exciting. A lot of these fighters are getting booed, sometimes in their hometown, and very heavily criticized by the majority of the casual boxing fans in the sport. But there's certain fights that I've seen with these individuals on the screen: Sandor Martin, Shakur Stevenson, Osheki Foster, Tevin Farmer, Demetrius Andrade. There's even other fighters, Jermaine Ortiz. The list goes on. I've seen that these individuals, how they're treated by referees, how the judges, are judging their performances, and even how the governing bodies are dealing with these individuals. It seems like there is a transition to move away from fighters that are highly skilled and defensive minded first, and they will prefer to favor the fighters that throw a lot of punches, extremely aggressive, and are more quote unquote exciting. But I've stated this before in previous videos that a win is a win, and I think that the fashion of how a lot of these individuals on the screen are getting their wins, a lot of fans are not liking it, and that's because, like I stated, it's a lot of casuals, and it's a lot of people that don't really appreciate multiple different styles in the sport of boxing. People like to say that these individuals run. They won't stand in there and go toe to toe, this, that, and the other. But I also look at, on the flip side of looking at their opponents, and when you have a fight schedule and you got a fighter like any of these individuals on the screen, you must prepare accordingly. If you know that they're going to box and move, they're going to be smart and be defensive minded, then you must construct a game plan that can alter what the game plan of your opponent is. How do you make them uncomfortable? How do you cut off the ring? What type of formula can you come up with to be successful versus the individuals? And it's not like it is impossible for the opponents of these individuals to come out with a victory. I've seen it before, and I want to pull this up. Y'all bear with me one second. I'm gonna pull this individual up. I'm doing this on the fly, man. But shout out to everybody that's catching the playback. Give me one second. Okay. So I just had to upload this image because I want to shine some attention on one particular fighter who's not a defensive minded fighter. He's not defensive minded first. He's not a guy who moves a lot, but I think he is the individual that has uh, cultivated a style that has destroyed these type of individuals on the screen. His style is the defensive fighter killer, or the boring fighter slayer, if you will. They call this guy the monster, David the Monster Benavidez. I have seen David Benavidez destroy 3 fighters that I know of, that I can think off the top of my head. Fighters that are very defensively minded, um, and great boxers. Those individuals are Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, and Alexander Vostok. Benavidez destroyed them. Now, he went the distance with Plant, and he went the distance with Vostok. But a lot of people believe that Vostok was going to be a very, very tricky style for Benavidez, because the guy boxes and moves. He's smart. He's he uses his mind a lot in that ring, and is more defensive minded than most individuals at light heavyweight. David Benavidez, light heavyweight. David Benavidez went to light heavy in his first fight and beat Vostok fairly easy. He got in there with Plant. Plant was having some success in the early rounds, and then he was able to figure him out, walk him down, and take control of the fight. Demetrius Andrade, a guy who has been labeled boring, not exciting, that whole thing, but he was undefeated. And David Benavidez made easy work of Andrade. After Andrade had maybe one good round, the first round, 1 or 2 rounds he had success, and David Benavidez was able to annihilate these individuals, man. And David Benavidez is still undefeated. And I'm just using David as an example that, there is a blueprint on how to beat these type of fighters. But if you don't have that game plan, if you're not able to implement a successful plan to come out victorious, we should not rob these individuals like Sando Martin. I had Sando Martin beating Teofimo Lopez, but because it was an exciting fight, I'm supposed to just say, "Oh, let's give it to Tio." I seen O'Shaquie Foster easily beat Robson Consequao. Well, because it wasn't a super exciting fight, am I supposed to just say, "Oh no, let's just give it to Robson"? And Robson Consequao, Foster was a champ, and I watched Robson Consequao hit air, and they gave it to Robson for being an airbender. Tevin Farmer recently had a fight with Raymond Murataya. I didn't get to watch the whole fight, but the last 4 rounds that I watched, it looked like Farmer was having his way. So I can't completely comment on it, but he was stating that he was robbed. But I'll have to go back and watch the full fight. But I'm just bringing this up because I noticed a pattern of fighters who are smart fighters who box and move. And it's the thing about it too with these individuals on the screen. These individuals, there's certain fighters that have to implement a style that works for them, because they may not pack the big punch like a Tank, like have the massive power like a Naoya Inoue, or Terrence Crawford, Deontay Wilder right hand. Like, there are fighters that are not blessed with this gift to have destructive power and annihilate their opponents. We've seen Floyd. He had to be smart. As he went up in weight, he was not knocking dudes out like that. So he had to come up with a different style that can be successful so that he can still come out with the W, you know. And I'm just defending these fighters, you know. I like the fighters that can be aggressive, apply a lot of pressure, throw a lot of punches, and if they're effective, effectively aggressive and are landing accurate shots, then yes, you know, I give them the credit. But if you're just a fighter who's aggressive, who comes forward, applies a lot of pressure, and ineffective aggression, and you're not landing accurately on your opponent, and your opponent is making you miss and making you pay and dominating and racking up the points, then sorry, it's not good enough. The person who is considered the boring fighter, I got to give him the nod. So I don't know what's going on in the sport of boxing. I don't know if these judges are being paid off or whatever the case. But it just seems like there's somewhat of an agenda to be unfair with these individuals on the screen, or styles like these individuals on the screen. And like I stated, you know, there is a blueprint on how to beat these fighters. There are fighters that know how to win against boring fighters, defensive fighters, you know, fighters who box and move, you know. So that's all I got. I want to hear y'all thoughts, man, on the direction of the sport. How do you feel about these individuals on the screen? Are they getting a fair shake? Is there a mass plan to take the attention away from these type of style fighters and not give them the true credit that they deserve by just banking rounds and coming out with the W? That's all I got. I'm BHP.